What if magic isn't fantasy, but science we don't fully understand yet? What if spells, teleportation, and transfiguration could be explained using the same quantum mechanics that govern the universe? Today we dive into the mind-blowing science behind Harry Potter's magic. In modern physics, reality is shaped by invisible quantum fields. But what if there's another fundamental field, one that interacts with consciousness? This is known as the mana field. Just as electrons interact with the electromagnetic field, wizards have the ability to interact with this mana field. But for that to work, there must be a missing link, a fundamental particle. The mana particle. Mana particles comprise the mana field and behave like neutrinos, particles that pass through matter without interaction. Wizards have a genetic mutation, allowing their brains to interact with the mana field through quantum entanglement.
Eat slugs!
To varying degrees, of course. These wizards can form localized probability clouds that they then can collapse into physical reality, leaving only one question on our minds: how do their brains do it? In the corridors of a bleak London orphanage, a young wizard named Tom Riddle discovered something unnatural. Objects moved at his command. Creatures obeyed his will. The air around him crackled with a force beyond the known sciences of the time. It was magic, or something far stranger. But while Riddle honed his dark talents, minds like Sir Roger Penrose and Dr. Stuart Hameroff would one day seek to explain the unexplainable. In the late 20th century, they introduced the orchestrated objective reduction theory, the radical idea that human consciousness itself emerges from quantum processes within microtubules of the brain, a theory suggesting that what we call thought might not be so different from what Riddle called power.
Lumos Maxima. Lumos Maxima.
He was that friend.
Lumos Maxima.
He was that friend. And he betrayed me.
Magic is not a force of unbridled creation. It is a power that bends to the will of those who wield it, and like all great forces, carries within it the potential for both wonder and devastation. But what truly separates a curse from a regular spell? At its core, magic can be divided into two fundamental types: coherent magic and decoherent magic. Curses fall into the latter category. They do not simply change reality, they unravel it. Dark magic thrives on quantum decoherence, forcing disorder upon the natural flow of the mana field. And with disorder comes entropy, a force that leads to decay, corruption, and ultimately, destruction. Each of the unforgivable curses exemplifies this principle of decay in a uniquely horrific way. Avada Kedavra, the death curse. It forces an absolute quantum wave function collapse. Every biological function ceases instantly, leaving no trace of suffering, no chance of reversal. Only an empty husk, utterly lifeless. Pain is a warning, a message from the body to the mind that something is wrong. But the Cruciatus curse overrides this system entirely. It does not simply hurt, it shatters the mind, tearing down the intricate neural pathways that allow a person to remain whole. The longer it is sustained, the greater the damage, until the very self dissolves into madness. There is no greater violation than the erasure of free will. The imperious curses do not merely coerce, they hijack the victim's mana particle synaptic transference, severing their own agency and replacing it with the will of another. They become a puppet, their very essence overwritten. Dark magic is not without consequence. It can disrupt a wizard's link to the mana field and twist their very soul into something unrecognizable. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Isaac Newton's third law echoes far beyond conventional physics. It echoes through magic itself. Where dark magic destroys, coherent magic rebuilds. Where darkness corrupts, coherence restores. Coherent magic isn't just the opposite of dark magic. It is the answer to it. When a wizard evokes a coherent spell, its mana particles resonate with the atoms of the world around it. Shield spells are often mischaracterized as reactive barriers. In reality, spells like Protego Maxima are complex, self-adjusting matrices, more like electromagnetic shells than brick walls. Rather than resisting force head-on, they redirect energy, diffusing it across a broader surface. Healing spells like Episki and Skelligro do not generate mass from nothing. They create an interpretive mana conflux that acts algorithmically to read the body's DNA. They then regenerate tissue with respect to the individual's genomic sequence. Of all known examples of coherent magic, none embodies its principles more than the Patronus charm. The Patronus is a projection of the caster's most powerful positive memories, a living waveform built from coherence itself. It overwrites the emotional entropy generated by Dementors, replacing fear and despair with clarity, structure, and resilience. When a wizard channels coherent magic, they're not forcing an outcome. Their thoughts, their emotions, and their energy fall into harmony with the quantum field and the magical world around it.